Hey guys, welcome to Project 3, Rowan State GIS 105. What I'm going to have you do on this project is make a map using demographic data from the U.S. Census Bureau. And I'm going to kind of walk you through getting your data and the first pass at your cartography, and then I think you know what you're doing from there. So first thing I did was Google tiger with selected demographic data, and when I did that, this is the page that will pop up. I get lost every time I go to timeout. Okay, so anyways, you'll get this page, and the data goes up through 2017, so that's fine. You can work with that, most recent data. And as you scroll down, what you're going to need to do is decide if you want to do something where you're looking at states, and you're looking at counties. You can look at what they call census block groups from this page, which is more detailed than counties and so forth. Congressional districts is there. I'm going to show you that one here in a little bit. There's a lot of things you can choose from. If you choose state, you'll get every state in the United States. If you choose county, you'll get every county in the United States. If you want something more local, you can come down to block group or census tract, and then you'll get to choose the state you want. Okay? When you download those things, you can bring them over into your area. I'm going to do congressional districts, okay? And I'll show you what I'm going to do with that here in a minute. When I click on this and download it, you guys know how that works. I've already downloaded this to save time. So I'm going to come over here to ArcMap, and I'm going to add some data. I'm not going to worry about setting my projection this time. I'm just going to use whatever it brings in, because when I'm not really worried about a perfect representation on this one, it's going to be more, you'll see, it's going to be more about the data we're seeing. So when I go to add data, I've put everything in my GIS 105 folder, and I've put all this into something called Community Survey. And you can see I've already downloaded several things here. So if I wanted to, I can do state, I can do county. These are the block groups for the state of Tennessee. I'm going to do these congressional districts right now. This is something I had from someplace else. Don't worry about it. So I'm going to add this. And when I open it, when I click add, it opens to this. And what you've got here is one shapefile right here, and then a whole bunch of tables. And these tables are essentially spreadsheets that contain data. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and add this shapefile. We'll see what it looks like. You can see I got the entire country, and these are congressional districts. These are United States congressional districts. These are the people we send to Washington for the House of Representatives. You can see some states only have one congressional district. Some states have quite a few. Okay, so I've got that on there, and we're going to be adding data from these data tables. So. And you're going to get to choose what you're interested in. It may be ancestry, it might be race, it might be your educational attainment. I think that one would be interesting. Income, earnings, which is, I think, money in addition to income. You can do food stamps, you can talk about employment, unemployment. I'm interested in poverty, so I'm going to download that one. Now, I've already downloaded it. Well, yeah, I'm not going to download it. This has already been downloaded. But I'm going to add this table. Okay, and just real quickly, let's look in here at the table itself and see what's in here. And one thing about these tables you're going to see is if you look at the headings, they make absolutely 0 sense. Okay, I mean, they don't mean anything to us. Okay, it's just a alphanumeric heading. So, but one thing to do note is the very first, here's the GeoID. This is just to identify each individual what you call it, district. And this one's then the data is starting at B17001E1. So the other thing I'm going to add is each one of these data sets has something called metadata, and I'm going to add that. And the reason I'm going to do that is when I open this, you'll see that it tells me what each of these headings actually is. And when you add the metadata, it's for all the tables, not just poverty. And you remember poverty started at B17. Well, I need to scroll down to the B17 zone. So I'm going to come over here and drag this and move down. And there are tons and tons of tables. I get here and it looks like I'm at the bottom, but if I wait a second, it jumps back up. And I'm looking for the B17. I'm not there yet. Keep scrolling down. Keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling. Keep scrolling, B15, B16. Okay, here's the B17s. So these are the ones that are actually in my table. And I like to open this, drag this over where I can read the description. So this tells me what that heading is. So B17001BE1 is poverty status in the last 12 months. My bad, I went down too far. Let's go back up here to B17001 where it begins. I thought I was... Okay, here it is, B17001E1. Poverty status in the last 12 months, sex by age, total population. So this is the total population for whom they ascertained poverty status. And then if I look at B17001E2, income in the past 12 months below poverty level. And this is for the whole population. I can break it down by males by age and everything. But I'm interested in how many people in that district are living below the population, below the poverty level. So this number right here, this B17E2 is the one I'm interested in. I want to write that down so I don't forget it. And the E1 is my total population that they determined this for. So what I'm going to do now is I have to go back up to my shapefile and I have to do something called a join and relate. And I'm going to join this shapefile to this table. And when you scroll around there and look, you'll see GeoID data is the field I want in the shapefile. This is the table I want, and this is going to be the correct field within this poverty table in order to match the records up. I like to run the validate join just to see if I've chosen those right fields, because if you haven't, it'll come back with 0 matches. Well, I've got 437 out of 444 matching, so I'm good. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. And now this data, if I open this table and look, if I open this table and look, and I scroll across, you'll see that all those fields have been appended or joined to this shapefile. At this point, I'm going to work with my symbology a little bit. And when we're working with this, what we want is to work with quantities. This is a pretty big file, so this is kind of taking a minute here on my computer. Okay, so I'm going to come down to quantities, which is what I want. And remember the field, and I'm going to have the field that was B17, this field B17001E2 was the population living below the poverty level. So these numbers are numbers of people. So 31,243 to 76,654 and so forth. And you can come over here and play with these things later, but for right now, let's just keep the default. We're going to hit OK. And here is what my map looks like. I'm just doing the contiguous United States. And you can see that here are my ranges of values. If you look in the United States and you're looking for this red value, I can't find it until I realize that's Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is basically poorer than any of these places. Now, one thing about this that I don't really like is these are just absolute numbers of people. So, for instance, I may have 76,000 people in Nevada that are living below the poverty line, but you know, if that's out of 50 million people, that's one thing. If it's 76,000 out of 100,000, that's a different situation. So I think these numbers are more useful if we put them on a percentage basis. In other words, a percentage of the total population. And the easiest way to do that is go back to your properties. Y'all hear my dog barking out there. So we're going to go back to properties. This thing's being slow. Okay, and the easiest thing to do is go to normalization, and we are going to click on this. And remember, this was my total population when we looked at that table earlier. So I'm going to click on that, and all that does is divide this value by this value. Okay, and I'm going to leave everything else like this for now. So let's run this and see what happens. Now we can see our new symbology. And so what we're seeing now is where people live below the poverty line. It's the percentage of the population living below the poverty line. So you can see that percentage. The red now is as high as 23% up to 44%. And at a glance, you can see where in the country we have high levels, high pockets of poverty. Again, this is by congressional districts. I could have done this by state. I could have done this by county. I think this is interesting. You can see over here in California, that's the Central Valley. That is a huge agricultural area. They've irrigated all this. My guess is you've got a lot of migrant workers in there that are not making much money and bringing down the overall population. You've got southern Texas. The second highest level is the yellow, the entire state of Mississippi. Eastern Kentucky seems to be a zone. I was surprised by southern Georgia. It's either all yellow or red. Some of the wealthier areas, you look around DC, that's got the lowest level. New Hampshire looks low. Boston is part of this upper East Coast, seems to be wealthier. This would be around Milwaukee, although Milwaukee also has a zone here's Minneapolis, St. Paul looks like. Utah is not bad, but around Salt Lake is even better. I'm not sure. I'm assuming that's Las Vegas. We'd have to look and see. But anyways, and at this point, if you want to, you can play around with your symbology. It's taking forever if these properties load. And if I want to, I can have more than 5 classes. If I want to classify this differently, and I believe, I'll check tomorrow, but I believe there's a section in your textbook, your beginner textbook, that has you walk through some of this kind of stuff. So we can classify this. We can set our own intervals. We can make them equal. We can define the intervals again. You can do quantiles. You can do different things here. And change what that looks like. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm actually pretty happy with the way this map looks. If you want to break it down a little further, let's go with 8 and just see what we get. And you can see it's changed a little bit, but you can see even at this level now, you've still got Eastern Kentucky and Eastern Mississippi and a lot of Southern Texas, and that Central Valley are still some of your poorest areas. It's just breaking your data down a little bit more finely. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. You know where to find the data. I would use this Tiger line files with selected demographic data. There's other ways to get at some of this stuff, but this is the easiest. Bring it in. Remember, you'll have to add the, I would add the shapefile first. Don't forget to add your metadata so that you can see what the headings mean. You'll add the table you're interested in. It can be, there's a whole host of tables there to look at. It's really interesting stuff. And then once you've brought them in, you have to join the shapefile to the table. Okay, and again, if I look in here, I'm looking at my shapefile. If I scroll over here a ways, well, let's see here. This geo ID is here, but there's also one in here called well, I've already joined it, so anyways, what we did is we joined the geo ID data from here with the geo ID from here, and it matched up. We'll try to get that far in class, and so make sure everybody has a data tail. Once you've done that, you can set your symbology and on quantities and kind of play around with it from there. At some point, you're going to be ready to turn this into a layout view, make us a nice map, choose something you're interested in. Good luck. See you. Bye-bye.